Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and here we are. It's Nigel again from Nigel's Modelling Bench. And first of all, in case you haven't seen my other videos, I want to say a big thank you to everyone for subscribing. We're on over 4,100 now. It's absolutely incredible in the short amount of time I've been doing this. So obviously something's right, you're liking something I'm doing. And it's really great to have you on board. I also want to thank you for all the fantastic comments you get, all the fantastic compliments, and it's just wonderful to hear from you guys, and it's great. And thanks to everyone for buying those Airfix 124 scale Haircat resin engine cores from me. I spent sort of 2 or 3 days doing nothing else but making them, so that's been quite an interesting time for me. Right, this, as you can see, is our favourite kit of the year. This is the Eduard number 11117, the Typhoon Mk.1b. It's based on a Hasegawa kit. The kit's about 20 years old, and what you basically get is you buy basically a luxury limited edition, and you get loads of decals, you get resin, and you get photo etch to replace inaccurate parts on the kit. And unfortunately, it's not the best. I've written to Ed. I know a couple of you guys have written to Eduard and had a response. I've also spoken to them as well, and you know, the response I got was kind of, well, you know, we've had people build it, they haven't had any problems, which is fine. Okay, I must be a rubbish modeler then. And also the other comment was that the seat, I may think it's oversized, but the actual seat was scaled from a real aircraft. Okay, that's fine, but we must remember that usually aircraft interiors are sort of undersized and proportioned down. I'm going to show you a picture now. This has been sent to me by one of my subscribers. I'm not mentioning any names, but he's a great guy. He buys lots of kits, and he basically buys whatever I buy, I think. And he sent me this picture. Well, he sent me some pictures of the new Eduard Tempest, and he said it's a fantastic kit, so much better than this one. I know it's a Typhoon versus Tempest, but you know. So looked at the kit, and I said, would you please do me a favour? Would you send me a photograph of the seats? Now, I know he's got a Barracuda Studio seat for this one. I know he's got the Eduard photo etch seat from this kit. He's got the Tempest Eduard plastic seat from the Tempest kit, and he's got the Hasegawa plastic seat from this kit. So I'll show you a photo now. There you go. Okay, so what I'd like to know is, if Eduard used a real seat to scale for this kit, which is the huge brass thing you see there, why is the Tempest seat in their own kit so much smaller? Who knows? Good news is this kit is no longer produced, so whatever's on the shelf is just what's out there. I really would recommend not buying it. You may as well just go and buy the Hasegawa kit or the Italeri kit, which is Hasegawa plastic, and then get your own additions, because I think pretty much everyone that's building this with me, they've either gone for the standard plastic seat, they've bought a resin aftermarket seat, or they've bought a complete resin aftermarket cockpit. So I see no point in buying this luxury kit with all these extras that don't fit. And someone else has also told me, I'm not looking forward to it, but apparently the resin is all oversized as well. So what's next on here? Basically, if you remember in the last part, we ended up getting the fuselage glued together, so I've got to clean up this seam. So I'll start doing some sanding on this. You don't want to watch me sanding, and then we'll look at tidying all this up in here, tidying up all the seams, and getting some scribing done. So I'll see you in a minute. Oh, if you're wondering what this is, what I've done, if you look down there, you can see, in fact, I'll take the tape off and show you. Because I wrecked my Junkers 88 seat by doing this, what I've done is basically made up this little frame that pops over and protects that photo etched armor plate, so it saves me damaging it when I'm rolling it around and everything. So I'll take it off for now, but when I'm actually working it upside down or whatever, I'm going to put that back on. And the other thing is, if you are working on a seam, don't worry about this gap here, don't worry about that lump there, that all comes off. If you notice something I think they foolishly did, they have you put all of this together, put your cockpit and everything, get all the wings on, get all the undercarriage on, and then right near the end of the build, cut this out here, and then cut all this off and fit that. Well, you may as well do that while you're doing the actual work on the fuselage, and it's much easier to cut that out before you split the fuselage than after. Before you glue the fuselage together, should I say, than after. So yeah, there we go. So I'm going to get some work on this seam now, and then we'll come back and fit the wings. Right, so I've done some initial sanding and scribing. With Hasegawa plastic, it's very, very hard. Scribing can be quite difficult, because if you've got a very shallow line left where you've been sanding, because you don't put any pressure on your scribing tools, then they will easily slide out of the line, because it won't sort of find a groove. It's just sort of sitting on top where it's hard. What I would advise, especially in curved areas, is get one of these saws and just use the saw for scribing. Just like you do on wing leading edges. I think I've shown you that before. You roll around the edges. You can see here I just slid off there, look. So you know, it's not so easy to scribe Hasegawa plastic, in my opinion. And the other thing is always start with a push rather than a pull. It's something you'll learn in time. If you stick with the hobby, you'll get to know different plastics. It's like with Airfix, you kind of just put it on finger pressure and pull it, and it drags a great trench out of it because it's so soft. The other thing I've done, I was warned apparently about a big fit issue with the wing. Now, I've built this, as you know, out of the box, and I haven't put any spacers or anything in the fuselage. And to be honest, I'm not overly concerned about the fit of the wing. It looked quite good. That goes in there like that. We centralise that up, and that all fits around the trailing edge there beautifully. A bit of Mr. Surfacer in there and it'll be lovely. Then we put the wing on, the upper wing, and that goes on, and that joint there is well, it's nothing short of lovely really. And then this side, pop this wing on. Okay, we've got a bit of a gap at the back, so I could just nudge the lower section of the wing over, and yeah, we have got a gap there at the back. So I think a bit of plastic card, a bit of playing around, will get that right. I think what I'll do is put some plastic card in there and then and sand it afterwards. In fact, I might even stick some plastic card to the wing before I fit it on. The other thing we could do, of course, is fit the wings to the upper fuselage, just like we did on the Junkers 88. But the trouble is with this, it's not parallel. The problem is this wing, as you can see, it's pulling back, and we've got to get these gun tubes and everything to look right. So it's probably best on this one to glue the wings on and then play with the root afterwards. This side, as I say, is fine. That side's got a gap. It's not the best. One of my subscribers suggested a nuke strike on this thing. It's that bad. Of course, the other thing we could do is glue it all together, put some tape across with a paint bottle or something underneath, and just pull it all together and glue it. I'm not sure what the dihedral will look like, but there's something else you could do just to get the thing done and out of the way, really. But let's get some Mr. Surfacer on these. The wing is a really nice fit, actually, the actual centre section to the fuselage. So let's get some Mr. Surfacer on these seams. You can see where we've got some slightly low and high spots, and I've also got low spots here. So what I'm going to do is put Mr. Surfacer on here, and then we can blend that out. I'm worried if I sand it, I'll end up with this sort of step, which will look awful. So yeah, I'll get the Mr. Surfacer on there now, and then I'll come back. Okay, our Mr. Surfacer is dry, so let's I'm using again this worn floory sanding stick. Not pushing down at all, just letting the stick do the work. And as I've said in other videos, not really trying to remove all of the Mr. Surfacer. I just want to get a nice round shape. And you've got to remember, if you've got any mismatch, like here, you will get Mr. Surfacer on one side and plastic on the other. That's just where the plastic parts are slightly mismatched. So that's the whole idea of doing all the filling and blending, really. Going over to the smooth side, like so, and then just polish that area, and we should have a nice seamless joint, or seam-free joint, should I say. Being careful not to damage those stiffening ribs. So there we go, that's that done. I believe we could have some more horror on the way, guys. I'm not sure if I mentioned this because I'm actually filming this about 2 days after the last sort of few seconds ago you saw. Apparently the resin parts are also oversized in this kit, so they might not fit either. So we'll see. But yeah, kind of wish I'd just bought the Hasegawa kit now rather than this thing. So just lightly sanding, just to remove the seams. If you go pushing in, you'll end up leaving scratch marks in the plastic. You don't want to do that. So turn over now to the smooth side and just polish everything. And we should end up with a nice seam-free joint. Just do some more sanding there. There we go. Just polish on the back. And there's our joint pretty much done. Now I'm going to need to do some work here. I think what I'll do, I think I'll put Mr. Surfacer in the low area and then blend it all out. So yeah, we've got a small step there and then it goes round. Yeah, we've got tiny little steps on this horrible, stupidly designed insert piece for the fuselage. Are you getting the feeling that I don't like this kit very much? And if I'm honest with you guys, I really don't want to finish it, but you've asked me to, so I will. But I don't think I'll be making too much fuss about it. Let's just see if we've got enough Mr. Surfacer in here to square this area off. I don't think we have. If you remember, this area here was kind of like concave, so it's going to take a bit of work. I think I might put some Tamiya putty in there. Get some Tamiya putty in my little applicator. If you haven't got any of this stuff, guys, it's great. It's really good stuff. It dries fairly quickly. It doesn't shrink back too much. And it sands to a lovely surface. The only thing is, I would avoid it in areas where you've got to do scribing because it does just literally tear. If you can imagine like a cheesecake base, that's what it's like. Cheesecake base, there you go. If you try and scribe it, it doesn't like it at all. You can see it's quite a warm day here today, and that is just drying already. So there we go. In fact, what I could do is actually use this here for an initial application. So just going to smooth that out there, staying away from those panel lines. And then what I'll do is I'll finish it off with Mr. Surfacer, but I just want to build up the inaccuracy first. There we go. Okay, and yeah, people may ask, don't I use plastic putty or perfect plastic putty, whatever. No, I think those materials are basically just tile grout or something, or wall filler. They don't actually bond to the plastic at all, whereas this actually kind of, it's almost like a cellulose. It kind of bonds into the plastic, and you can rub it down, it won't fall off. I was talking to somebody at the Western show yesterday, and they were saying, you know, what do I suggest? And they were using this plastic putty, the Vallejo stuff. This one here, which I don't think you can get anymore, use it on stuff like ejector pin marks, and when you sand it, it can just fall out because it doesn't actually bond at all. So anyway, I'll let that dry and then we'll do some more sanding. Okay, while this fuselage is drying, we can put that to one side. and we can start looking forward in the instructions. And obviously the next thing we're going to do is start fitting all the wings and tailplanes and stuff. So let's have a look at this. You need to choose your version you're going to do now. I've chosen to do version A, basically because it's the only one that I like in there, really. I mean, to me, a Typhoon's got to have stripes. I've just actually watched the documentary, and that was originally what they did. They painted stripes on the underside so that friendly aircraft could identify them, because apparently the Americans and the British took great pleasure in shooting down Typhoons because they didn't know what they were. So yeah, shocking. So yeah, basically I'm doing version A, so it's going to have rockets. So I've got to drill out these 8 holes in each wing, not these 2, because it's saying those 2 are for marking C and D only. So I've got a 0.9 drill. So I'm just going to go in these little indentations and just basically drill them out. If you don't have a drill, what you can do is make a mark in it through with a pin, push a pin through, and then you can use the point of a brand new knife blade to make the hole. So in fact, I'll show you how to do that. I'll take a pin here. I've got a new knife blade on there. So I'll take a pin here. What I'll do is I'll make a mark. Okay, so I'll push that through there like that. Okay, so now I can see the hole on the other side, and all I'll do is I will put the tip of this brand new knife blade in here, and then just gently rotate it, and it makes the hole. And then you could just sand over any burring, anything you've got on there, and I'll just put a drill through there now just to get rid of that burring. But there you go, that's the way to do it. You can just basically stick a pin into the hole like so, and then use your new knife blade, the point, in the hole, and just scrape away the, I'm just going to clean it out with the drill because I've got one. But there you go, that's, you know, you don't have to have drills to do that. So I'll carry on doing this with a drill, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're still not quite dry on here. I've got Mr. Surface Ram filler in there and on the back. So, but you know, it's dry enough to touch, sort of thing. So we can start looking at the wing fit, because I've been led to believe there is an issue with this kit with wing fit. So the instructions tell you to glue the upper and lower wing halves together and fit them in. I'm not going to do that, because if I need to add anything here or whatever, then I can, and not worry about, you know, the fit. And if there is a slight issue with the fit, I can make it fit here, and then any irregularity on the edge, leading edge or whatever, can be sanded out, rather than getting all this perfect and then finding it doesn't fit the fuselage. So let's have a look and see how it all fits. I've been led to believe there is a gap on one side. I can't remember which side. I can't remember who told me, I'm sorry, but it was on this, oh no, it wasn't, it was an email. And yeah, whoever it was that sent it told me I need to get a B-52 strike in on this thing because it's awful. So that wing's going on there. We've got it centered up down there, and the fit on there is lovely, as you can see. Really, really nice. Nothing wrong with that at all. And then on this one, fit that on like, oh dear. Yeah. Not very good at all. That is a huge gap. So what do we do about that? If I glue it onto the fuselage correctly, I've got a hell of a lot of mismatch here, so that's not really going to be suitable. If I pull the wing up, it still doesn't close up because it's like a tapered joint. So what I'm going to need to do is jack the fuselage out in that area. So let's take those wing tops off. Let's get this off again. So if I put a piece of sprue across there, then what it's going to do is going to spread both sides. And as we saw, this side the fit is perfect, this side the fit is out. So what I'm going to do is jam this over with a piece of sprue. And yes, I've prepared this and I know it works because this is all a big act after all. This piece of sprue is on the, I've put an angle on the end, you can see there, I've cut it at like a, I don't know, like a 60-degree angle, and it's 22 millimeters on its longest side. So I'm just going to push this into that corner. So I'm going to get my tweezers so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to push this into that corner there, so that it doesn't actually spread the fuselage apart. It's just going to push this one side over. So I can hold that in place like that and then just push it down, and it'll force that side of the fuselage apart and then fly off onto the floor. There we go, got it back. So let's try again. We'll put it in there, put it in like this, and then force it down into the gap. Okay, and I'm not going to put any glue on it yet, because I just want to check that it actually works. So we can push the wing in like so. So that's in. Get it all centralized, line the panel lines up like so. I'm going to check the fit on this side, and that is still perfect. It needs to be lifted up a bit at the back, so we'll have to do a bit of sanding around here. And then on this side, as we can see, yes, the fit is vastly improved. So when we actually pull it up now with some tape, we can close that gap up and just a bit of Mr. Surfacer, and that'll be it, job done. So I call that a success. So what we'll do now is get the wing tops off. We'll take this lower section of wing out again, and then we'll put some glue on here. Now my fear is, as soon as I put some extra thin on here, it's going to spring out, because it's going to be like a lubricant to it. So we'll leave it like that for now, and we'll just let that go off. Okay, moving on now to things we can be getting on with, so I can get a video together and get it out to you. Look at getting these resin parts off here. Now these are replacement resin tailplanes and elevators, and basically they're larger than the plastic kit parts. So I can only assume that these are the later type. Apparently on the early Typhoons they had trouble with elevator flutter or something. So I can only assume that they changed the design before the Mk.1b bubble top was made. So I don't know, I'll have to check my history, but they've put the resin parts in there, we may as well use them. So we've got to get these off the fret now, and then we've got to degrease them. Now cutting resin is a dodgy thing to do. Its dust is very dangerous. Now you can either use a mask, or you can do what I do, and that is to make sure I'm working in a wet area. So I've got this wet now, so none of the dust can come and get me. So we're just going to cut this off now. I'm going to use the coarse side of the blade, just saw this off. As you can see, we're getting no dust whatsoever, and any resin dust that is here will get trapped in that water, and then we can just wipe it away with a cloth and throw the cloth in the trash. They're most of the way through there, just snap that off. You can see we've got these little pins on here as well that have to go. So I can literally use my Tamiya cutters and cut them off, just like so. There we go. And then we'll clean up after with a knife and some sanding sticks. And we'll get this one off as well. As you can see, once again, I've got no dust whatsoever. I'm not breathing anything in. Okay, we've gone right through on that one. And again, we'll just trim these off like so. And we've got this central pin here. So that can go. And we'll get it nice and wet. Now, I'm thinking, are these, they look as though they're the same. So we've obviously got a different upper and lower surface. So I'm losing the fine side there. So I'm just going to cut slightly proud of the plug, and then I'll have something to sand off afterwards. There we go, we're through there. And then just cutting just this side of the plug. There we go, we're through there. We can chuck that bit of resin in the bin. Chuck that in the bin. chuck that in the bin. Now I'm still keeping it wet because I'm going to come along now with a sanding stick and sand away this little bit of plug that's left. As you can see, the dust is just sticking to my fingers, it's not in the air. There we go, that's that one done. Just a bit more on there. There we go. I'll do the same on this one. That's that one done. And then we're going to come in here and I'm going to see if I can get a bit closer with these. The least you have to sand resin, the better. If you can cut it with a knife or with a pair of snips or something, it's better than sanding it for your health, basically. Okay, so we've got a mark on there that says left. So let's see how these fit. Yeah, you guessed it, they don't. So once again, more parts in a kit, made for a kit, that don't fit. What's the right side like? Oh, the right side fits, wow. There we go. So yeah, the right side, that fits, although it's too low down and too far forward, so I'm going to have to do a bit of clean up on that to get that to go in properly. Never mind. And then these will go into here. Yeah, they fit in there okay, so that's alright. So that's going to go together like that. Yes, not the best. We need to do a bit of sanding on there, I think. Gets it to fit a little nicer. Okay, I've managed to get these resin parts to fit now, and they need quite a bit of cleanup. You can see I've had to take some off the leg on here to let it come back to the front meets correctly. I've also cut away like I'll show you what I've done. I've cut away like that, a divot, because the back of this isn't quite square. So when you put it on, it sort of rocks. So if you put a little divot in there, it saves it from falling. It may be I've made it not square, because basically to make it fit properly, you've got to sand this flat. You can see that it comes along, goes on an angle, and then it's flat. And you need to sand that flat larger, otherwise it's sat up. And then you take your elevator, and that needs to be sanded as well, because when you fit it originally, it won't have actually done each side individually. So yeah, I think that's for this side. No, that is that one. So basically you have to sand away this end to make it fit and leave a small gap there as it would be on the real thing, like so. So obviously they're going to have to be glued in with super glue, so I'm not going to glue them in yet for fear of knocking them and breaking them off. Now, because of this part in here, we've now got the wing fit sorted, as you can see. So I'm happy now to follow the instructions and glue the wing together as they suggest, because I know that when I put it all together like this using the alignment pins, then we get a pretty good fit. And then when I actually fit this to the fuselage, I'll just put some tape on, pull the wings up, run some glue down that joint, and that will basically be it. I don't think we'll even need to put any Mr. Surfacer in there. It's that good. And you've also got the slightly raised edge there where you've got the fairing. So yeah, happy with the way that's gone. So what we'll do then is we will take this wing off and we will glue it together. Now, if you've watched my builds before, you'll know that I'm pretty fussy about my trailing edges. And what I like to do is take a flat sanding stick like so and just sand so that I can see we've got a totally flat surface here. So what I'm going to do is I will use a magic marker, which is sacrilege. I'll just put some lines on there like that. And then we'll do the same on the wing, like so. And then we can sand away to our heart's content until we get all that pen disappeared. Now you can see that while I'm sanding, it's sanding the inside edge and it's not touching the outside edge, which means that when it goes together, instead of it going together nice and square, it goes on an angle. So we want it to be nice and flat. And I'm not putting any pressure on here because my fear is that if I distort the wing, then it's made this a pretty pointless exercise. So I can just hold that like that now. Make sure I don't remove the alignment pins, because that's all we're going to have to work with. Although what we could do is put it in place on the fuselage, I guess, and glue the wings on that way. So then just going over there, you can see again here we've got the issue with the trailing edges tapering off. And there we go. So happy with that. We'll do the same on the actual wing itself, on the lower wing should I say. And as you can see, once again we're removing material from the inside edge, not the outside edge, which means we'll get a great big gap. It's a bit difficult to do in there because the wheelbase is in the way, but if we just sand it flat, it's going to help. Now you can see, again we've got the outside edge but not the inner edge, it's not touching it because it's a very thin flange on there. Now here you can see that we're standing away, all the inside and the outside's not touched. So we're just going to keep going until the outside is all touched. There we go. And that's that done. And here we are with those edges all sanded out like I've just done. You can see that when I put the wing together, like so, lining up the pins and making sure the guns are all aligned, you can see with hardly any there's hardly any pressure whatsoever, it's all closed up and you get a nice seamless joint on the trailing edge. You also get a thinner trailing edge as well, which is another one of my little pet hates, is thick trailing edges. If you watch my videos you'll know what I mean. So there we go, so we can get this all glued together now. So dog's barking again. Alright guys, I've just been doing this and I've just looked up and realised my phone is off, my camera. And one of the problems with the iPhone is if you get a phone call, I keep forgetting to put it in airplane mode. If you get a phone call while you're filming, it turns the camera off, which is quite annoying, because if your phone's on silent, then I don't know why it does that, but anyway, I didn't realise it had turned the camera off, and basically there we go. I didn't even realise I had a phone call, to be honest. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it just turned itself off. So anyway, I've just been sanding and talking about this level in here, and basically I'm just basically continuing to work in this area to get this flat. And I'm going to change over now to a hard stick in order to make sure it's straight. If you've got a soft stick, you will just keep on producing that step. Whereas if you use a hard stick, you can remove the step. It's much like if you watch somebody repair a stone chip on a car, you put a dimple of paint in the stone chip which ends up raised. You then get a piece of like 2000 wet and dry on a very hard block, even a little steel block, and just polish it, and it will take off the lump rather than take out any material around the lump. So there we go. I'm pretty pleased with how that's come out. If you notice, I'm not going crazy, I'm not putting any pressure on, I'm not trying to remove a lot of material at once, I'm not generating any heat. I think we'll give that a coat of primer and have a look later. I bought some, I went to the Western show yesterday, I bought this, and this is the MIG Ammo one-shot primer, so I thought we'll give it a go. Apparently it's good stuff, it's not polyurethane, so I don't know, apparently it's good, you can sand it and everything. I got a feeling this is Stynylres in repackaged, so let me know in the comments if you know that's the case. I know MIG and AK do a bit of repackaging, and I also got these today from Antics. Give these a go. These are the AK weathering pencils, so we'll give those a go and see what they're like. And the other thing I bought yesterday was for the Hellcats. I got some US interior green from AK. I love real colour. Real colour paint is wonderful stuff, so we'll give that a go. We'll use that on the FAA interior, but also what I want to do with those models is break them up a bit with some different shades of green. We've got interior green, we've got zinc chromate green, we've got that green, I've got the Vallejo interior green, so we can sort of break things up instead of having just one green area, like that area behind the engine with all hydraulic tanks and that, or we can put some different colours in there. But anyway, on with this one. The other thing I bought yesterday, I was at Western, I saw a Airfix 124th Typhoon Mk.1, the initial release kit, and it was cheap, so I bought it, and so now I've got two of those, and I've been over today to Antics and picked up my car door version, so that one's now ready for the next group, the next build along. So if you're interested in Typhoons and you want to join in the build along, it's not a group build, it's not a build series, it's a build along, and the idea is that if you want to, you can, it's good to get you back into the hobby, it's good to keep your mojo going, even though mine sometimes wanes like with this, but to be fair, that is because this kit is bloody awful. And also it's good for beginners to hone their skills, really. They can just come along, do what I do, and then the next week there'll be another video up and they can do what I do again. And yeah, it was suggested by Rob from Canada, and it seems to work really well. People seem to really like it, but unfortunately we started off with the Junkers 88, which turned out to be a bit of a nightmare for beginners because it's got a lot of fit and finish issues. And then the next one we picked up was this, which is, well, the less said about this one the better. So there we go, that's all blended out now, so I am going to call that a day for this video. In fact, I'm going to give that another coat of Mr. Surfacer because I can just feel something there, just feel a step there. Oh no, I keep hitting that armour plate, I'm going to bend it, I know I am, break it, but hey, yeah, I can see there that it needs what we can do here is get a pencil, not a pen, don't use a pen, get a pencil and just go over this area where we've been doing our sanding, and if there's any low spots they'll show up. There we go, we've got a bit of a low spot there like I thought, so I'll get some more Mr. Surfacer on there and I'll come back. I think this has been part 6, hasn't it? I'm not sure. We'll whatever it says on the title. So after I've edited this, I'll know which number it is. So there we go. And wings are all done, tailplanes are all ready to go on. So the next one, we'll probably get all the airframe together and start looking at some primer. See you then. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.